So let's take a look at how to do some of these kind of more complicated looking exponent ones. So here I've got 2y to the power of 3 times 3x y to the power of 3 all divided by 3x to the power of 2 times y to the power of 4. So here let me do just the top to start. First I'm going to expand the top, so I'll rewrite it out here below. This is going to be 2. This is y to the third power, so that ends up becoming y times y times y. Don't forget, since this third power, since this y doesn't have any parentheses around it, matching it up with the 2, this third power just affects that y. So this is 2 times y times y times y, and then times 3x, and again, there's no parentheses between the x and the y, so I just do the multiplying the y by itself 3 times. So times y times y times y. Now I will rewrite the denominator, 3x squared y to the fourth, and I'm now going to condense. So I expanded it, now I'm going to bring this together and we'll see how that adding thing works. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 y's, and I multiplied 2 and 3, so this becomes 6, I've got 1x, and then 6 y's, y to the 6th, y to the 6th power. Okay, and now I can still rewrite that denominator, 3x squared y to the 4th. Now, what I need to do is I need to do this division over here. So I'm going to move this up a little bit. To do this division, well, I can just divide the like terms. I've got 6 divided by 3. That will get me 2. And here I've got x to the first power. If you don't see anything there, there's a secret first power hiding right there, divided by x to the second. So, as we move on here, we saw the expansion. Just to review, I want to just look at those rules again that we saw earlier. So let's zoom out here a little bit. Now the rules that we have from the other day are when I am multiplying, and I said like bases or the same base, when I multiply, divide the like base, if I multiply the same bases, what you do is add exponents. And we saw how that works here from the expanding. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 y's all multiplying, so that became y to the 6th. But really I just added these exponents, this 3 and this 3. 3 plus 3 gets me 6. And we saw from that as well that if I divide the same base, I can subtract the exponents. So then here, I'm going to say, all right, 6 divided by 3 is 2. X to the first divided by x to the second, that becomes x to the negative first. And then y to the 6th divided by y to the 4th. Well, I'm dividing these like bases, so I can subtract the exponents. 6 minus 4 gets me y to the second. You can leave the answer like this, but if you want to, I've got x to the negative first, and we know that actually means x to the negative first. You should know actually means 1 over x to the first, so we can rewrite this as 2y squared all over x to the first. Either of these should be considered an acceptable answer. And we're going to come back to this power to power. We've seen this before also. That means you are going to multiply the exponents. We'll see that in a minute. All right, so let's keep moving on to another question. Here's the entire thing, by the way. Let's move on to this next question right over here. All right. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see this better. Where is it now? Here we go. Zoomed in. Look at how fancy this is. All right, now this power to power thing we saw before, but we can use that rule. I'm going to expand this one, and then we'll use the power to power in the next question and see the quick way. So here I've got nothing to do on top. I'm just going to rewrite x over here, and then over this power of 2 is outside of a parentheses, which means I'm going to do everything in this parentheses twice. That's what the exponent thing means, is to multiply this whole thing twice. So this becomes 2x to the 0th one time, and I'm going to multiply it again. 2x to the 0th a second time. All right. So now I'm just going to multiply my numbers together, and I have like bases in the x's. I'll add those exponents. 2 times 2 gets me, well, I'll keep this x on top. 2 times 2 gets me 4. X to the 0th times x to the 0th, I add these exponents, but 0 plus 0 is still just 0, so this becomes x to the 0th here. And I know anything to the 0th power, I know that's actually just 1. We've seen that before, so I can rewrite this here as x over 4 times 1, which ends up just becoming, and this will be our final answer, equals x divided by 4. That is our answer for this question. All right, let's take a look at one final question, and we're going to get to see the power to power as well as dividing for subtraction. So let's go over here. Okay, on the top, there is nothing for me to do here. There's no like bases. I'm just going to leave that as it is. So I will rewrite this as 2m to the negative 4th. And then on the bottom, there's something to do. Now, I could write this whole thing out 3 times like this exponent tells me to do, or we can follow that other rule that we saw before, which is if I have, oh, I might have to zoom out for this a little bit. If I've got power to a power, I can multiply the exponents. So what that means is exactly what I see right over here. I've got a power to a power through this m to the negative 4th being raised to the power of 3. So I'm going to rewrite this whole 3. I can distribute this exponent. This becomes 2 to the 3rd power, and then m to the negative 4th, but then that is to the 3rd. All I did was distribute that 3 exponent to each of these terms. I know that 2 to the 3rd, and I'm going to come down this way, I can rewrite the top, the numerator, 2m to the negative 4th. I know that 2 to the 3rd is 8, so I'll get 8 over here. And then, because I saw if I'm putting a power to a power, I can multiply. I can multiply the exponents. Negative 4 times positive 3 gets me negative 12. And this is almost my answer, so I'll draw part of a box around it. But now I can do my division. Well, 2 divided by 8, we'll simplify that later. I'll just rewrite that 2 over 8. And now I have, if I'm dividing like bases, I can subtract the exponents. Negative 4 minus negative 12. So, and I'll write this in green up here just so we see this. Negative 4 minus negative 12. Don't forget it's minus a negative, so this is really the same thing as negative 4 plus 12. So this becomes m to the 8th power, and it's going to be on top because it's not a negative exponent. And so I've got 2 over 8, m to the 8th, and I know I can rewrite 2 over 8. I can take the 2 out from this whole thing, and this becomes, as my final answer, 1 over 4, and then that's times m to the 8th. And that should be my final answer there for this little exponent review.